I was confused because I could have sworn Parasyte was supposed to be a Japanese show, but it does explain something at the very, very end. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Parasyte the Gray. So this is a Netflix show that it took me a minute to watch. There's a lot of TV shows I'm trying to watch, but day's busy, work takes over. But pretty simple premise. Aliens fall down, pew, 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 take over human bodies. But this one takes over a girl who's about to die. And if a parasite has to go through a body which is not perfectly healthy, it kind of morphs. And it's not fully taking over that body. And now it's the girl, because in the Japanese version, it was a reporter. And this is where I got a little bit confused, because I was like, wait a minute, is this a different take? Is it in the same universe? What is going on here? But from the sounds of it, this is roughly 8 years after what happened in Japan. So now it makes me wonder what happened in those 8 years of how people didn't know about this, and it's just randomly coming back down. Anyway, this is just about this show. And I think it's a fun show. 6 episodes go by pretty damn quick. There are some solid characters, solid gore, even though I think the gore could have been a little bit more. Yes, you do have the grotesque, like, coming out of it. But when it comes to them stabbing people and cutting heads off and cutting body limbs, it felt like they toned it down just a little bit, which is, I want to say it's a bummer. But when you're at that music festival in the very beginning, or in that grocery store, I expect fucking carnage, and I got carnage. I didn't get no fucking carnage. Carnage! So that's what I got from there. But when we talk about the merits of this show, like I said, the pacing is there. The characters are there. The twists and turns are there, even though some characters do have a little bit of ambition problems or stubbornness problems, where they just can't get over their own selves, and that's kind of an issue in my opinion. And the story is pretty simplistic, save this girl, and you have this one guy who was part of a gang, but the gang kind of disowned him because he was being too much of a coward, and he's trying to not become a coward, but it's hard for him. But even though he's trying not to become a coward, there's something that happened in his past where these parasites have taken over his sister and killed one of his sisters, so he's just in a fucking berserk mode of, like, cowardly from get away from the gangs, cowardly to get from these parasites, but also trying to help this girl out as well, because she also has demons of herself with a cop trying to help her and just abuse in her past. So there are good backstories and good characters that are involved in this show. But like I said, what got me confused was, why is this in Korean? Because I was like, I could have sworn Parasyte is Japanese manga, Japanese anime, a Japanese show. I have the movies up there, so I was confused. So when I started, okay, Korean adaptation. But something happens at the very, very end. And since it's been a while, I'm going to spoil it. The Japanese reporter comes by because he's like, konnichiwa. And I was like, that's Japanese. That ain't Korean. So I was like, okay, interesting that we're going to combine the Korea and Japan Parasyte. But then reading an interview, I could be mistaken, where the director said this takes 8 years after the events that are happening in Japan. And that's where my confusion comes in of, like, seriously, like I already talked about before, did, like, no one in Korea know about what happened in Japan, America, etc., etc.? Are these parasites things just a brand new thing that is in Korea, and Japan did a good job of closing, these parasites up? Because if I'm understanding correctly, the parasites in the Japanese version never went on a full-blown, like, concert, grocery store. But like I said, I could be wrong. I'm just taking pieces of that, what I remember, through in and throughout. But overall, Parasyte the Gray. Oh, and finally, the very beginning. I don't know what they were trying to do, because the very beginning of the show, they were talking about, like, pollution, etc., global warming, stuff like that. But what does that have to do with a parasite? Because the whole point of a parasite is to just take over a human brain and become the leader of an organization and do something. It's not like these parasites are not going to do anything the other humans wouldn't do. So I was a little bit confused about what correlation they made with that first 15, 30 seconds of the show. And I'm thinking, okay, is this going to translate into anything that occurs? And it doesn't. So it felt like an agenda piece in the very beginning. But overall, Parasyte the Gray wasn't bad. I had some good time with it. Good gore, good surprises, good twists and turns, good special effects. but I do wish there was a little bit more gore, and the correlation between the Japanese and Korean Parasyte, I need a little bit more explanation ASAP. So Parasyte the Gray will receive a 3.5 out of 5 futons, which equals that 70%. So let's see the critics user scores gave this one. So critics a 100%, audience score 80%, and with the critics we have How many critics do we have? Oh, I gotta go here. I'm an idiot. We have 14 critics. Pretty damn impressive. 180-70. Chase Liak here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm things Futontopia. You Futon, thank you for watching. Have a great day. I don't care what you take tomorrow, week from now, month, or year from now. We're seeing every one of you. God, I hope I don't get eaten by a parasite. That would suck.